You are watching the last week of Tracking the Pro stock market. This is a super week. This is the week where the playoff teams are all decided. The top 6 make it into the postseason. The bottom 4, we'll never see them again until the next split. Now, there are 3 teams that we could probably safely discard that will not be making it into playoffs. It's going to be IMT, TSM, and CLG. Maybe there's a world where CLG wins it, but it's not this one. Just like every other video, we're going to break down the teams at the top, the ones at the bottom, and give you the scoop right at the end, or maybe in the middle, because guess what? Nothing makes sense in the LCS anymore, so I've got a brand new investing strategy for you that could probably get you some more money and at the very least be more entertaining. Now, Cloud9 last week lost to TSM. It was sad. Somehow the number 1 team heralded to be the champions lost to TSM when they lost their coach. Their coach got fired and they still managed to get a win. Their CEO is under investigation. They still managed to get a win. It didn't make much sense, but it was funny to see. Cloud9 though still is number 1 because 100 Thieves and Team Liquid also lost games. So they're still a little bit under 2,000. Then at the very bottom, we've got IMT. They're at 1337. This may be the cheapest we've ever had a team in the stock market trading floor price. They were terrible at the beginning of the season, and it looks like they're going to be ending terribly as well. They have an easy strength of schedule though, and being this cheap does make them a really attractive buy. Now, let's break down every single matchup. There's 3 sets of juicy days, so we're going to have a lot of gameplay covered, and that means there is more opportunity for you to radically transform your portfolio. First up, it's Team Liquid against Golden Guardians. Now, before I give you the predictions about these matches, let me tell you that the investing strategy that I had previously used, which was use logic, try to understand the gameplay and see which team is looking like they're improving, which team looks like they're getting worse, how are these teams going to be projecting their drafts and their scrim results onto a better opponent, what are their goals, how are their scrims going, how are the players doing in solo queue, and trying to analyze all these things. It doesn't matter anymore, okay? It doesn't matter anymore. What you're gonna be doing, what you're gonna be betting for is what is the most entertaining outcome. And guess what? Golden Guardians beating Team Liquid, it's not quite that entertaining, it's a little bit sad. Golden Guardians is just a middle of the pack team and they're kind of boring to watch. So this is not a very entertaining game either way. I think Team Liquid is just gonna steamroll them anyhow. So Team Liquid to take down GG. Next up, Evil Geniuses against FlyQuest. Now this is a matchup that has some serious playoff implications. For Evil Geniuses, this really matters, and the same thing for FlyQuest, because FlyQuest, a loss here would tie them with EG, and they could potentially end up tying them with Dignitas, Golden Guardians, and then they'd lose out on that musical chair last place spot for playoffs. So what is the most entertaining outcome here? It is for FlyQuest to lose so that the teams are tied together, and that way EG will take down FlyQuest. It makes sense, guys. EG has veterans that love to ramp up during playoffs, and they're not there just yet. So I think the most entertaining outcome would be for EG to beat them and to make that 4-man core that's trying to get into playoffs more contested than ever before. Next up, we've got Cloud9 against Dig. It'd be hilarious for Cloud9 to lose against Dignitas. Of course it would be. Dignitas sucks, but once you lose to TSM, all bets are off. So Cloud9 could easily lose this. Their playoff spot's already secured. Dignitas is still fighting for their life, so one of these teams clearly cares more about this than the other. And for that, I'm going with Dig. Next up, it's IMT against CLG. Now, none of these games have playoff implications, and that's exactly why they're gonna be excellent matches. Right when IMT has nothing to play for but just fun, entertainment, and practice on stage, that's when they'll give you their best performances. When nothing matters, when their general manager just got fired, that's when you'll see the IMT all fans have been waiting to see. And that's exactly what's gonna happen. IMT to take down CLG, and it will be a convincing, clean victory like we've never seen before from this squad. Now, 100 Thieves against TSM for the last game of this day. Now, what if TSM ended up beating 100 Thieves, and then eventually TSM found a way to also beat Team Liquid at the end of the split at the last match of the day, so that TSM, being almost dead last, would have taken down the top 3 teams and the most likely teams to compete and win for the playoff race, while they remain in dead last and not even participate in the tournament. That would be exceptional, and I think that's what's going to happen. Just like IMT, TSM have nothing to play for. In fact, what do they play for, the players individually? They just play to look good because they know this team is going to be disbanded, exploded, something's going to happen, and so they have to make sure that whoever picks up the scraps from what happens with TSM is going to be looking at their players and thinking, hey, I want that guy on my team. So everybody on TSM will actually be playing much better than anyone else because they actually have their careers on the line, believe it or not. So TSM to take down 100 Thieves, because if 100 Thieves beats TSM, it's going to be sad, it's going to be expected, and in the 100 Thieves way, which is quite boring and streamlined every single time. Now we move on to Saturday, opening up with Team Liquid against Dignitas. Yep, once again, we want Dignitas to take down Team Liquid. Now you'd think I'm just calling upsets. I'm thinking about what is more entertaining, and not every upset is entertaining. Dignitas beating Team Liquid is not so exciting, but what would be exciting about this? It's because Core JJ said that River was a better jungler than Santorin. He didn't quite say that, he insinuated, Santorin read into it, and then it became a bit of a joke at the beginning of the split. So why not do it now? Why not have River hard carry against Santorin at the very end of the day while Whip was still running it down, powering up for playoffs? So Dignitas to take down Team Liquid at the first game of Saturday. Next up, we've got Golden Guardians against Evil Geniuses, and just how we said before that we want these teams to all be tying up, this is the outcome that you want. You want Evil Geniuses to lose so that Golden Guardians can continue to tie up the matchup, because they will lose to Team Liquid early, so they need a win here so that EG, FlyQuest, and Golden Guardians all end up with 8 wins. So Golden Guardians to take down Evil Geniuses here, because it is going to be making the scenario that we want, which includes a ton of tiebreakers at the end of the day, so that the teams have to play so many that you actually get a 4th day of LCS happening on Monday. Then we've got Cloud9 against 100 Thieves. Cloud9 should easily stomp 100 Thieves on this one. I think this one's not really close. This will just be a fun one to see. There's nothing at stake here. These teams don't really have anything to fight for except the top seeding, but it's number 1 and 2, so it doesn't even mean all that much. Next up, we've got TSM against CLG. Wow, last time we saw this was hilariously sad for both teams actually, but it was sadder for TSM. This time around though, I think TSM's about to go on a killing spree and take down CLG and avenge them, because it makes sense, because you want this team, the head-to-head, to go 1-1, because the classic legacy of these two teams that were once at the top of an A should be both of them at the bottom of an A, but at least tied together. They go up in flames, embraced. Next up, we've got IMT against FlyQuest, exactly like last time, where IMT has nothing to play for except to ruin FlyQuest's day, and that's exactly what they'll do. IMT will take these guys down so that FlyQuest do not get a win and separate themselves from the pack of those 8 teams in the middle. This means that they will all finish Saturday tied at 8th place, almost certainly guaranteeing us tiebreakers either on Sunday or on Monday. And last but not least, we're gonna move on to Sunday, 100 Thieves against Dignitas. Now, Dignitas is here to try to get a win, and guess what? This is where it gets exciting, because all of the teams that are tied for 8 wins can all get a win and end up at 9 wins, which means if 4 people get a tie, I believe we have a 4-round some sort of 4-way group stage happening again, and then the playoff bracket to see who advances. So it's gonna get complex, and I'm gonna vote on all the teams that will make this complex. So Dignitas to take down 100 Thieves so that they now end up at 9 wins, because they would have ended up beating some team before. I forget at this point. There's a lot of games that have been played if that's the case. Next up, you've got Evil Geniuses against CLG. Easily EG beats this. They actually have to try to win this, while CLG maybe just do it for the fun. I think they're not gonna make it at this point, but they'll try to ruin Evil Geniuses' day and fail. Next up, Cloud9 against FlyQuest. Again, Cloud9, nothing to play for. FlyQuest playoff life on the line. They'll get their win and end up at 9-7, 9-8, some sort of record that ties them with a lot of other teams. Then you've got IMT against Golden Guardians. Now this is where it gets tricky, because I think IMT could be a great bet for you this weekend. So in the predictions, I'll tell you to go for Golden Guardians, because it would be fun and it would be an entertaining outcome, but it's hard to balance what is more entertaining. IMT winning every single game when nothing matters, or Golden Guardians tying and making a 4-way soup. But which one is more likely? There's way more variables involved in Golden Guardians, FlyQuest, EG, and Dignitas, the 4-way tie, than there are in IMT winning 3 games in a row when nothing matters. One has been way more likely, and it's happened in the past with bottom place teams. So I do think IMT winning is more likely, but for the sake of the enjoyment of these predictions, it's going to be Golden Guardians. Next up, and the last game of the regular season, wrapping up with a banger, TSM versus Team Liquid. Who remembers St. Louis when this was a grand final and it mattered so much, and these teams were the best at the time, and now you've got Team Liquid against TSM, but nothing matters to them except to not be embarrassed by TSM. But it really doesn't matter to them that much, because guess what? TSM's already out and they're secured. And so just like last week where TSM didn't drop a single game, I think this week TSM won't drop a single game as well, and it will be an exceptional way to finish out their season, knowing that they took down Team Liquid, Cloud9, and 100 Thieves, and none of it mattered in the end. Now, where should you put your money? Again, you go for the most entertaining outcome of them all. Here is finally the time where you invest in these two teams. I told you to hold off. The time is now. Put it all on TSM and IMT, fellas. All of it. All that you've got. Just IMT. They're the cheapest. The numbers should tell you to invest in them. It's 1337. We've never gotten that number before. You know what it means. You're in the gaming community. Just put it all on IMT. They have an easy strength of schedule. Nothing matters to them. They could easily go 3-0. And if you feel like it, you can still buy TSM. They're still kind of cheap. It's not the most expensive, but it's close to FlyQuest and CLG by less than 50 each. So TSM kind of tied for 7th and 8th, or tied for 6th if you want to look at it that way. So these two teams I think are the ones that you should be investing in, and you really won't regret it, because at the end of the day, you voted with your money for the most entertaining outcome of them all, which should have been the way that you've been doing it this whole time. That's gonna be it, and I'll see you next time for the playoffs, tracking the pro stock market.